Welcome to the Cobb Cole podcast, where attorneys are of no short supply and your values are met. I'm Jess, the Marketing and Culture Director at Cobb Cole, and today we're going to talk to Baylee Bunyard, an estate planning attorney. Hey Baylee, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
So tell me a little bit about you. You tend to tell people that you are from Lower Alabama.
I am indeed the real LA. I'm originally from a town outside of Pensacola called 𝘠𝘭𝘰𝘳𝘠𝘭. It's on the Gulf, but right at the Alabama line to our immediate west and our immediate north. So we're kind of surrounded by it. There's actually a story where Florida tried to sell that piece of Florida to Alabama, and they said no.
Why would they say no?
Now we're never going back to them. Still influenced by the culture, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So you grew up there, obviously.
Yep. I was there until I left for school. I went from there to Gainesville. Went to the University of Florida for undergrad, and I finished my law school there. And then I had some periods in between where I moved back there for a year to work, and then I was in Charleston for a year, but knew that I wanted to be in Florida and came back.
Weren't a fan of the colder weather?
Yeah, wasn't a fan of the not Florida.
Gotcha. Very cool. So how'd you end up in Daytona Beach, of all places?
Yeah, so my my second year of law school, we do what's called on-campus interviews. However, I was in law school during COVID, so there were no on-campus interviews.
Yikes.
Instead, the various companies would post their ads on a website, and then we would do Zoom interviews. I knew that I wanted to practice estate planning, or I was pretty sure I wanted to practice estate planning, so I was only looking for the OCIs that were offering a position for an estate planning role. Cobb Cole was one of them. I had the interview, and I really enjoyed the conversation that I had, and it seemed like a good fit for at least the summer. And then I came here, did my summer clerk position. I worked with our estate planning and probate department for most of the summer. I did some litigation while I was there too, and learned that is definitely not what I wanted to do. But
for so many reasons.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed the people that I was working with, the work that I was doing, and the general mental rigor involved in estate planning. Everyone's situation is unique, and no two cases are exactly the same. And one thing that I learned in law school is one difference in estate planning than most other legal practices is that there is a right answer, but there are multiple ways to get to that right answer. So it's kind of like a puzzle whenever you're involved. And sometimes there's guesswork because you're doing something that's never been done before, but most of the time you just have to find the answer. And there's probably one out there.
So how was law school in 2020 and during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Was that an experience?
Yeah, it was strange. I was convinced, due to bar standards, that we would never have...
that this would not happen.
Yeah, we would never have remote classes because we had a requirement. I don't remember what the specific numbers were, but we had to be in class a majority of the time.
Right.
If you miss too many days, then you don't qualify to get your degree. And it specifically said in class, in person. I was like, yeah, it's never going to happen. And then everybody was put inside for a period of time. It was strange. But fortunately, from undergrad, I had taken several remote classes or online classes anyway. So it wasn't too different. And I had already figured out how I needed to study for law school. So I just did it at home. I bought a dry erase board because I use those a lot, mounted it on my wall, and I couldn't print any reference materials because we didn't have a printer, but I was able to scroll indefinitely until I found what I needed to write on the whiteboard.
Did you have to take the exam digitally, or did you go in person?
Yeah, for the first semester, during COVID, everything was digital. We weren't allowed to be on campus. I guess we could be on campus, but we couldn't be there for school purposes. And at that time, nobody really knew what was going on. So we just...
It's a wild time.
Yeah. So a lot of masks, a lot of sitting outside, weather permitting. We would still find time to be out.
You powered through and now you're here.
Yeah. It was an interesting experience. Absolutely. Sure. Because I had some law school experience in the traditional sense, where it was show up, do your exams in person, and then it all changed. So that was unique. I'm not sure how students are doing it now. I imagine they're primarily back in the classroom and taking in-person exams.
Switched back, yeah. I don't know.
But it was entertaining. It was a fun a fun project, I guess, to see how the legal field was able to adjust when times changed.
Pivot, right?
Yeah.
Right. Very cool. Did you have to take the bar exam remote, or was that?
No, that was in person.
That was in person, as it always has to be.
Yeah. I don't know if the class before me took it remotely. I think
I was gonna say there had to have been one class where that didn't happen.
Yeah, but it was fine. For anyone who's taken the bar exam or knows someone who has, there's legend of the desks that you use. So it's kind of a rite of passage.
Are they like old school? What? Oh,
very.
No.
They're old wooden tables that have probably been there since the 60s, and they've never changed them. Nice and splintery.
Extra obstacle.
One of the pieces
you need that.
Yeah. One of the pieces of advice I was given was wear something with sleeves.
Oh, jeez. So what spoke to you about estate planning? You said you were just immediately kind of enthralled with estate planning and that practice area. What about it was intriguing to you?
Yeah, so when I started law school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought maybe something in real estate because I had some background there, but I really had no idea. And then my first year of law school, I took our property class, and we covered the estate system there. My professor at the time made a point to say that, because it's what he practiced when he was a practicing attorney, made a point to say that all of the smartest attorneys do estate planning. And I went, I want to be that.
A challenge.
Yeah. But through that experience and seeing the nuances, but also learning that there is a correct way to do something rather than leaving it up to a jury, for example. Mm-hmm. It was a puzzle that I really enjoyed solving. But after I found an interest in the legal side of things, before I made any commitments to myself or anyone else of stating that is what I wanted to do, I took a long time to sit, reflect, and try to find or think of things that met at the intersection of what I enjoy and what I'm good at. Fortunately, it so happened to be the area that I was interested in. But I have some personal experience with the effects of a poor estate plan. Several members of my family have gone through it. It didn't directly affect me, but affected members of my family. And so that was frustrating to watch and to learn about as I got older and learned more of my family's personal stories. And everything that occurred was avoidable. So not only did I find a place where my interests and my attributes intersect, I also found the why for why I wanted to do it specifically. I've gone through or have seen the ramifications of those experiences, and with some, for the most part, basic planning, most of those could have been avoided. And so I want to help people avoid those issues. There's no need for additional struggle and turmoil
Mm-hmm.
when you're already grieving the loss of a loved one.
Yep. Who would you say your usual clients are, and why do they seek your advice? Why you, Baylee?
Yeah. So I think a part of it is what we were just talking about is having the experience of knowing what the effects of not having a plan are,
Mm-hmm.
or not having an effective plan in place. I often share that story with clients so they know,
What can happen?
and they know that I get it. A lot of times clients come to us after they've lost a loved one and they've gone through the probate process or the mess that was left behind for them, and they want to ensure that that doesn't happen for their kids or their families when they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we get clients that have recently moved, either from somewhere else in Florida or from out of state, and they either want to get set up with a new attorney and look at their documents, make sure that their new house is covered, or if they come from out of state, they want to consider updating their documents to be Florida documents. You aren't required to do that, but it can be helpful, particularly for your advance directives, your lifetime documents, to have, especially if you're going to stay in Florida, to have Florida documents. It's easier for the hospitals, the doctors, the banks to reference and rely on.
What makes it different that it's Florida documents?
It references specific Florida statutes rather than, say, if they'd moved from Georgia, it would the documents would reference Georgia law. They're still valid, but it may take some time for their legal team to process, or if it's not a physician themselves or someone in a managerial position at the bank, they may hesitate and say, I need somebody else to look at this just to make sure I'm clear to proceed.
Got it. Could take some extra time.
Yeah.
So the question of the hour for you is what to do when you're navigating a high net worth estate plan.
Yeah. So it really depends on what you mean by high net worth. So oftentimes the clients that we're working with won't think that they really have very much.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
part of our process is talking to them about their assets, the things that they have, how they're titled, what the nature of them are, and really what they want to do with them. So anybody that has anything really requires some level of planning. For a client, let's say they own their home and they have their retirement accounts, they will need a different approach than somebody who has a personal business that has become successful. The most important thing for navigating a high net worth estate plan, or any estate plan really, is to know what your goals are. If you want to ensure that your assets just avoid probate and transfer to your kids or grandkids or whomever in a efficient and timely manner,
Mm-hmm.
that's a different plan than, say, for example, if you have someone that you're leaving assets to that has special needs and may receive some kind of government assistance, or in the case of somebody who owns a business, having a plan or setting up a succession plan is much different than just transferring securities to someone else. And there's, depending on what the documents that created the organization are, there may be some other factors to consider and some things to navigate that might not apply to somebody with a house and investments, just because of the nature of the asset and wanting to make sure that the business stays in operation when they're gone.
No glitches. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is a mistake that is commonly made by some of the wealthy clients in estate planning? And how should they avoid those things?
Waiting. Waiting is the most common mistake. A lot of people delay their estate planning because they don't think that they need it yet, or they're not entirely certain what they want to do, or sometimes people think if they plan to die, it will happen sooner. I promise that's not the case. We often joke that the most effective estate plan is to spend your last dollar on your last day. But if we could predict that, we'd be in a different line of work. So delay is the most common and the most detrimental mistake that is regularly made. One of the benefits of starting now versus later is, particularly for our high net worth clients, there are some options available that need to occur over a period of years for the most effective version of that plan. There are other tools that we have to accelerate those plans, but they aren't as beneficial for tax purposes. And oftentimes that's a major concern for people is how do I ensure that the assets that I've accumulated over my life transfer to my kids or my whomever they name without the government taking half of it, essentially. Depending on the asset, it takes time. But with that, if you have your base document set up, that really gives you the platform to make adjustments as you go. Having at least basic documents, say for example, a revocable trust, you can continue to put the assets that you acquire through your life into that document. Mm-hmm. And if further planning is needed, then instead of redoing everything, we can just make tweaks or fine tune the plan that you already have in place. It is a little bit of legwork initially to make sure that everything gets moved in. But as you progress through your life and you acquire more things, having that basket to put things in immediately rather than having to try to figure it all out towards the later years of your life is far more efficient. And one of the things that we do is we educate clients on how to acquire assets in the name of their trust, for example, so that they don't put it into their personal name and then have to go to an attorney to then transfer it out later.
Right. So it sounds to me like you're telling me we should start our plans now, right?
Yes. Yesterday is the best time to start. It's I read a statistic I guess it was probably last year when it came out, that approximately 2/3 of people don't have any planning. And not only for people who think that they have something worth saving or worth transferring, people with modest estates probably need it more so than people with a ton of assets. Having an estate plan particularly one that avoids probate and transfers to your intended beneficiaries outside of the court system, is one of the most effective ways to transfer wealth to the next generation. Things get caught up in probate. It takes time to acquire them, to get them administered and distributed out of the estate. For people that have a business in particular, and they are the person that runs it, they are the brains behind it, they're the operator, they're the manager. If they have a plan in place and they know who is going to take over when they pass, and they can ensure that that person has the skills needed to continue managing that business, it could all be for naught if that business has to go through probate, because then you have to appoint your personal representative. That personal representative is then the person in charge of how the business functions. And if that's not the person that knows how to run the business, there could
You're gonna
be
be
issues.
cleaning up messes later.
Right. Yeah. And so you can, all of this is avoidable. And just taking the time to get it done is the hardest part.
Mm-hmm. How often should you review your estate plan and update it?
So we contact all of our clients every 5 years just to check in to see if anything has occurred. But if something happens in between that 5-year period, you might want to consider updating your documents. That could be anything from having a grandchild born, or status of a person you want to leave something to changes, a change in your personal goals and personal wants, an increase or decrease in assets, or even a change in tax law. Recently, we had the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that extended the original tax cuts and increased the estate tax threshold to $15 million per person.
Do you have a good resource for keeping up on those tax updates that kind of gives us a summary of what's happening, or should you find your attorney?
Generally, you can get a pretty good. There's plenty of articles that cover what has happened, what has changed. But for taxes in particular, your attorney will know how to point you in the right direction, but your accountant will be your best friend on that aspect.
Yep.
We can help ensure that the documents follow the law. The accountants are there to make sure that the numbers match.
Got it. So how would someone proceed in contacting you and your team for services?
So you can call our main office line. I don't have that on me right now.
386-255-8171.
Yep. And you'll be directed to the appropriate people. Or you can email me directly. My email is Baylee.Bunyard@cobbcole.com. That's BAYLEE.BUNYARD@𝘞𝘩𝘐OBBCOLE.com.
And what should they expect in that initial meeting if they set up an appointment with you?
So the initial meeting is often the hardest one. A lot of times people are nervous. They don't know what to expect or what is needed from them. The most helpful thing that they can do before going into an initial meeting is have an idea of what their goals are. They don't necessarily need to have them hammered out and finalized. Your attorney can help you do that, or at least help guide you in the ways that can occur and what the effects of those goals might be, depending on the tools that are available to execute them. We also need to know generally the nature of your assets, like what kind of assets they are, and their approximate value. We don't need specific numbers, at least not initially. There are some planning tools where specific numbers are needed, but for the most part, that's a down the road type thing, and it really only relates to a handful of assets that you may or may not even have. But having an approximate value for your home, or if you have any rental properties, or if you have a personal business, even your retirement accounts. Oftentimes people have most of their wealth in a 401k or an IRA that they have through their business. Between that and then their home, those two are very easy to set up to avoid probate, but we at least need to know what type of asset they are. Because if it's, instead of a retirement account, if it's a taxable account, like your standard brokerage, we have a bit more flexibility with a brokerage account and how we can distribute and divide those assets. But as far as ultimate goals, they can really all be achieved with whatever assets you have. We just need to know what we're working with so we can plan around them.
Fantastic. And you meet with clients in DeLand and Daytona, correct?
I do. Yep.
Awesome.
We have a whole team of us. I'm in DeLand most of the time, but I'm in Daytona regularly. I'm there at least once a week, oftentimes twice, sometimes more than that. It really just depends on clients' needs. I try to meet them where they are. We have both offices. I've worked in both. I like working in both. And so it's no skin off my nose to go over.
And what do you think sets Cobb Cole's estate planning department aside from competitors?
Yeah. So one thing that we really have going for us is our history. So we're in our 101st year this year. And what comes with that is 100 years of experience. We have an archive essentially of different ways to progress through different estate plans. We're able to reference material that other firms don't necessarily have access to. And being here for so long, it really, at least I think we've fostered a lot of goodwill in the community. And I know not only myself, but everyone on our team and all the attorneys at our firm are very involved in the community. And we're not the attorneys that you only see in the office. You'll see us around town. You'll see us at Publix. We'll wave to you, talk to you, whatever is needed. And the same reason why I accepted my offer to Cobb Cole is I think one of the things that really sets us apart is the firm itself feels like a family, and we think of our clients as an extension of that family. We really care about achieving the goals that you have told us you wish to achieve, and making sure that doesn't affect your lifestyle or anything in your current life. We may give you a little bit of homework, but as far as significant life changes, we want to ensure that you can continue living in the manner that you're accustomed to, or even a little more comfortably knowing that this is something you no longer have to worry about.
Well, thanks, Baylee, for being here today.
No problem.
Love chatting with you,
Absolutely.
as usual.
Yeah, this was a blast.
If you're interested in hearing more about the estate planning services at Cobb Cole, please contact us at 386-255-8171. We proudly serve all of Volusia and beyond with our offices in Daytona Beach and DeLand. Cobb Cole is a multi-lawyer firm specializing in practice areas from estate planning to real estate. Cobb Cole, your legal compass.
The information you obtain from this podcast is not, nor is it intended to be, legal advice. You should consult an attorney for advice regarding your individual situation. We invite you to contact us and welcome your calls, letters, and electronic mail. Contacting us does not create an attorney-client relationship. Please do not send any confidential information to us until such time as an attorney-client relationship has been established.